Welcome back, gentlemen, to the shop. In today's video, we are going to be honoring the godfather of gear reviews, and of course that would be Nut and Fancy. Nut and Fancy, if you don't know, is the reason why you and I are talking here today. It's the reason why I have a channel. When I first got on YouTube, that was one of the first channels that I subscribed to, and I used to really enjoy watching those knife reviews. That was a new thing, and it really inspired me to start uploading my own content. And I wouldn't have a channel today if it wouldn't have been for him. Furthermore, when I was just getting going and starting to get a little bit of traction and maybe had a couple thousand subscribers, he did a shout out for me, and that pushed me up over the edge, and that really gave me the momentum and the impetus to continue, and I'll always be grateful for that. I received a letter or an email from a young man, Alex, 15, a couple days ago, and I'm going to read it. It's just short. It's just a couple sentences, but we'll just get into it. Alex wrote, "Hey Cody, my name is Alex. I'm 15 years old and I've been watching your videos for about 7 years now." Now, Alex's dad unfortunately passed away 2 months ago and had been a subscriber of mine, and Alex said that he'd watched the videos from the very beginning. Well, Alex said that he had found a great deal on a good EDC knife. He said he paid $26 for it and he wanted to recommend it to me, and he asked if I would be willing to do a review on that. And I said, absolutely, of course, I would be happy to. So I ordered it that day. It showed up yesterday, and we're going to be taking a look at it today. It looks really good on paper, and if it I guess matches the hype or what the specs look like to me, it might just be about the best value on an EDC knife that I've ever seen at around the $20 price point, and that's for a name brand Kershaw knife. All right, let's jump into it, see where it takes us. We'll do a few comparisons, but we'll unbox it together, take a look at it. I'll give you my takes, Alex, and see if that's something I might recommend to the guys. One of the benefits of doing a Nut and Fancy knife review is we're not bound by any time constraints. So the Kershaw Company, of course, is a great Oregon company that was started in 1974 and actually is tied to Gerber knives. Now, I have a long history with Gerber knives. Right here we have my granddad's butchering knife that he bought after the war, sometime probably in the 40s or 50s. And I started hunting with him when I was 12. I walked with him when I was 7. And we butchered many a elk, deer, and bear with this very knife right here. This is a Gerber Shorty. Man, this is precious to me right there, Shorty. Got his name on there, and before the iron hide with the aluminum handles. Now, I bought this when I was 16. Our granddad bought this for me, and this was the A400, designed by the great Lamar from Lamar Knives, who used to work at Gerber with the Pixie and the dual sheath. Man, that's pretty cool, huh? I'm very lucky to have it. Actually, I lost the Pixie that had the iron hide on it. Same handle, they just added this because guys complained about the traction on the earlier knives. And that's a great knife right there too. But very precious to me, and they always made the best sheaths. Man, that was the gold standard back in the day. But in 1974, I forget the guy's name, but he left Gerber and started Kershaw Knives just down the road, and has tied in and collaborated with some Japanese companies. And as I think all of us who are into knives realize, that Kershaw is one of just the best value in knives I've ever seen. So my family used to go to the Kershaw knife sale. They had a knife sale every year, and they had like seconds and blemishes. I mean, they had thousands of knives, and you'd show up there a couple hours early, and you would stand in line, and it was the gold rush. I mean, you'd buy knives for just a couple dollars, $5. My parents would come home and they would buy Christmas gifts for the whole family from that Kershaw knife sale. I don't know if they still do that or not. Okay, let's get into it. So what we have here, I did a little research online, is a very nice little EDC knife at an exceedingly attractive price point. I paid $23 for this on Amazon. Alex said he paid $26. I saw them as low as $17 and as high as $39. But that's pretty easy to get into for a pocket knife for most guys from a good brand. We have assisted opening right there, the classic flipper, and a great EDC blade right here. This style is called a clip point. A clip point was made popular by, was it John Bowie? The Bowie knife was the first one that came out, and it's really designed to give a really pronounced and keen point. And what a clip point is just imagine it looks like this portion has been clipped off. to make a tighter or more pointy taper for a stabbing knife. This is a stabbing style blade. It really excels well from that, in that it'll penetrate really well. It's good for food preparation. I think just overall, it's probably about as good a design as a guy can get for EDC. It's near perfection. Great for cutting food, great for cutting apples, good for defensive, just very nice. You'll probably recognize it because this is that drop there, or that clip point is made. Also, we see on the classic buck folders that so many guys like to carry. Now, just for comparison right here, this was the second knife that I bought per Nut and Fancy's recommendation. This was the first, SOG Flash 1. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that probably have these 3 knives because of his videos. Now, this is a drop point. So you can see demonstrated here the very different designs here. So rather than having a concaved, you've got a convex on the top where it's rounded. So clip point, drop point. Just remember, it looks like it's been clipped off and you'll never forget it. We have, as far as the steel goes on this, it was a Japanese steel that I looked into a little bit. It's a stainless steel. It has really good corrosion resistance abilities and has a lot of industrial applications. They use it in springs, they use it in medical instruments. It's not going to be the super high speed like your S30V, like something on a more premium knife, but really for most guys, does it matter? I mean, whether your knife gets dull in 7 days or 10 days, does it really make a difference? You're all packing around dull knives anyway, so it doesn't really matter all that much. And at the price point, at around $20, $24, pretty extraordinary deal for a really great knife. Initially, just the initial feel of it, man, it's a great knife. It reminds me of kind of a Benchmade Griptilian. This is such a classic, great design. We have some jimping there on the top. And very soft. This has probably been tumbled. You can see the stone washing on there, which is a nice finish. And I've never had these really rust. I've always kind of liked it. The first time I saw that finish was on maybe like a Chris Reeves Savenza. I don't know if he pioneered that look, but everyone's using it now, and Kershaw's really grabbed on to that. Speaking of Kershaw, if you're watching this, who's naming your knives? I've never seen anything so cringe and terrible in my life. Let me give you a few examples here of their assisted opening. Drivetrain, outright, dividend, camshaft, valve, husker, airlock, gravel, believer, payout, starter, filter. I mean, it only gets worse. The more I go down the line, here's what you need to do. Put a part number on your parts. If it's USA made, part number starts with a U. If it's made in Taiwan with a T and a C, it's made in China. Then, if it's a flipper, put an F. If it's out the front, put an O, and so on and so forth. So you can look at a part number and you can see where it's made, what type of a knife it is, maybe even what the steel is, and just have normal numbers, not these cringe naming things. I wouldn't buy some of these knives just because it's just so embarrassing what you guys are doing with it. I don't understand it. It just seems weird. I mean, on your nicer knives, your zero tolerance, you give them normal numbers. You don't give them cringe names like these guys. But that's just my personal pet peeve. All right, so we work our way down here. So what we have, we've got a glass nylon-filled handle, which I've never have been a fan of. It has that cheap feel. It doesn't have like a premium feel of a G10, but let's keep in mind $20. It is tough too, because you're going to get the same type of handle on a Benchmade Griptilian, and it's going to be, 5 times the price of this. So it's got decent traction on it. It looks a little bit transformer-ish, a little bit square, some sharper edges on it, which are a little bit rough in the pocket, but that stuff does wear down over time, and it's not really a showstopper. But the bottom line that we got to keep reminding ourselves of is that this is really a $20 knife, which is pretty incredible from a USA-made company. Really like the pocket clip. It's deep carry. That's something that most guys are pretty much demanding these days. If you use a pocket clip, like the old ones, like here we have the excellent Skyline, sadly no longer made, but this is a bit of an antiquated design. It never has had a good carry clip. It's always looked stupid and funny. I don't like the marketing. I don't like the big name on there. Even, I don't know. It's just my thing. I mean, you can have a logo or something that just those who are in the know it, but don't put your name on the front. You're not paying us to advertise for you. We're just not really into it. Get rid of that. that branding on there. I don't like it. But I do like this clip. Deep carry, you can see right up there, so when you put it in your pocket, only the little tip is going to stick out and not this big, huge thing. This is one of the worst pocket clips of any, this is the worst pocket clip I've ever used on a knife, and it's ugly too. But this is very nice. Another nice thing is if you look inside there, you'll see that those screws that secure it, those are flush. They're countersunk. Some knives, they stick up, and that's a point where it catches and tears up your pants pocket really bad. So I have to give shout out to the clip. It's really, really nice. Now, on the back there, we don't have a pillar design. You can see pillar design like on the Para 3 here is my favorite because it flows, debris flows through it, i.e. pocket lip and little chips and things that guys get in their pocket, and it never does really interfere with the blade. And when you get these assisted opening knives like this, which I'm not a fan of, and I don't buy them because, to be honest with you, they're kind of spooky. I have had them open in my pocket. I've had them jump out of my hands all the time when I use them, and it works great. I mean, it's very authoritative and it's pleasing. It comes out fast. But if you got hands that are covered that are wet or grease or anything on them, these things will jump out of your. Just today, as I was playing around with it, it jumped out of my hand and came down and stabbed me right in my leg. So that's something to be careful with. And I know some guys will say, "Oh, you just need to learn how to use it." I get it. I know how to use knives, and I've used them all my life. But it's still, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's marketing more than anything else. It's vulnerable to. You cut some oranges or some citrus with this, and you get that juice that slides down in there, then it starts messing with the mechanism. And when you have a knife that's reliant upon the assisted opening, and you don't, I don't know. It just hasn't been my thing. Maybe if you're super diligent and you always keep your knives clean and such, that's fine. But to be honest with you, as we've seen from some of the knives like the 940 or the Para 3, they're so well balanced that it's just not required. There's no knife that flips out faster than a 940, and it's just because it's excellently balanced. In the same way with this here. It's just, I don't know that it's necessary. I think it would be better to balance a knife and have a good deployment thumb stud or whatever you want to do, but that's just my personal opinion. It's my channel, so I get to say what I want, right? That's a nice thing about not being beholden to anyone. I like the handle okay, a little bit transformer-ish, but not too bad. I'd rather see the pillars on the back for cleaning, as I said. We've got the liner lock, which I've never had a problem with it. Actually, Jack has carried this knife more than I have, and just looking at it after some use, wear, and tear, it's still holding tough there. And Kershaw's went with that for a long time, and that's a good design. I mean, even on your premium knives, like your Spydercos here, they're still using a form of that. This one's on the back, of course, but basically the same thing. One thing I never have liked about liner lock is that when you are putting them away, you run the risk of your hand is in an unsafe place. You always have to go across where the knife is going to close right here, and it can close on you. And that's the same way with the back, the same with the liner lock. For me, I have to come over here to support the knife, but you're going to have your hands wrapped around it. Where like the 940 with the or not the bolt action, but the axis, you can stay clear of that and flip it. But again, just personal preferences for me, just details. But it does come out. Not a fan of assisted opening, but it is what it is. But there's no question it comes out fast, but it's also brand new and clean. So you may or may not like that. Lockup is very good. I don't feel any play in that. I can see some nice thick bronze or phosphor bronze bushings, I think it's called, in there. That always glides nice. And you kind of have to have that. You have to have a good pivot system for that's what I'm talking about right there. Just lose concentration for a moment and it comes out so aggressively and so hard. I think that they're somewhat unsafe unless you really are paying attention. And goodness, here we go. I'm not going to get out of here without blood. What else we got here? We got a lanyard, kind of a lanyard hole or opening right there. I do like to have a lanyard. Brian got me started on this. I've been carrying my 940 is temporarily missing in action, so I've rotated the Spyderco back in, and he carries a lanyard on his, and he got me doing it. And I like it because Not carrying the pocket clip, it seems to tends to fall down in the bottom of your pocket, and you got to kind of fight through keys and different things to get it. This always is sticking out, and you can just kind of reach down there and grab it. So I like it. You may or may not like it, but this is not a very usable lanyard hole. You'd have to, whatever you got in there would have to be exceedingly small, and I would imagine if you put paracord in there or stretchy cord in there that it may cut, but we'll see. I don't think most guys use lanyards, so not a big deal. Blade centering we can see here, of course, is already damaged it. Look at that. Bent the tip. Dropped it, bent the tip right there. So it's not super hard. It will bend. Blade centering. Blade centering you can see there, and I checked it before I dropped it. It's favors off to the side. Could that be repaired? Does it matter to you? Some guys it does. It would bug me on a $200 knife. You can see even after heavy use the Spyderco right there. You know, I'm not comparing. I'm just showing you the difference. This is a difference from USA handmade, you know, really top of the line premium knife. These are the little things that you get. And if that matters to you, then it does. If not, it doesn't. But that sometimes can be fixed if you go into the pivot. I've played around with that a few times and ended up making it worse. I've never had any luck with that, but that's my personal experience. The liner lock, of course, has got the stainless steel scales that run completely inside, so it's going to be a strong knife. It's not recessed into the handle like the Spyderco is, so what that gives you is a little bit less strength and more weight. You got more steel in there than some of the premium knives, but it's still pretty light. I don't think it matters. I'm really splitting hairs here because I can. And I think that probably covers about all the negative. Now let's go to the positives of it. Well, the positives, it's a near perfect carry size and a perfect blade length for just normal EDC. It's got a beautiful pocket clip, apart from the livery on there, but I do like the deep carry. I like the flush screws, and I like the finishes on the knife as well. It's getting a little tiresome, the stone finish, the stone and black. I'm a little weary from that. I know I've kind of just even quit looking at knives because I'm just kind of over the black and the stone wash. I mean, how long have we been doing this? You know, long time. That's what's so cool about, one of the cool features about the 940 is the green scales and the purple back spacer and the, you know, all that cool stuff on it. And I'm tired of the black. I like to see some color and just some variations and I don't know what else. I mean, you're the knife designers, just wow us, but bring something to the market that is different and unique. Give a guy's reason to kind of get back into collecting and enjoying knives, you know, something that's not just the status quo. Blade length, as I said, is excellent. I like the clip point. You can't beat that. We've got some soft jimping on the back. We've got a really good finger choil. It locks in there very nice. It feels secure. Even if you were you could butcher with this. You could do skin. It wouldn't be great for skinning, but you could butcher and process meat with it. You're going to be locked in there. You have pretty good traction. No problem. In reverse grip, of course, if you had to press this in, God forbid, into a fighting mode, it locks in very good. You can kind of bolster the back of the knife with a thumb, and you have what would be a pretty decent defensive knife with really good penetrating capabilities because of that clip blade. Not a big fan of the glass filled plastic on there, but it's fine. That's just kind of what we come to expect. But overall, kind of comfortable. Not one that I would never want to do extended work with this, any bushcrafting work. There's too many hot spots, there's too many sharp angles. And that's not just this knife, that's just the nature of the folding knives. You know, you're fighting that clip on there if you keep that on. I recommend you take them off. I don't think the convenience is worth losing the knife for. I like the price. This is a knife that would be fun to carry because, you know, there's times that you come across guys you work with that haven't been raised right and they don't carry a knife, and it always shocks me. This is something that you could take out of your pocket and just give a guy. It's like, here, now you have a knife. And I know that I've done that, and I know a lot of you guys have done that. Mama, we don't have time for you right now. Or if you were to lose it, you know, that's really appealing. It's not going to break your heart. You know, you're not handing off a Spyderco Para 3 USA made to most guys. But this one here, you know, it wouldn't break the bank if you did that, and you'd probably make a friend for life. So that's got value as well. I think the lanyard hook is kind of ridiculous. Not really a point to it. A little sharp on the back, but not bad. But it is a good knife. Would I feel pretty happy, content carrying this? Yeah, I think I would. I think I would. It's a good size. It's a good all-arounder. No problems. It doesn't give me the fizz, but I don't know that it's possible for a $20 knife to really give a guy the fizz. Maybe if you hadn't ever seen one before, but it is a little bit tricky when you come off, such beautifully made knives like the USA made knives. You kind of get accustomed to that. It's hard to go back, right? It's hard to go back. But if you're just getting started off, or you want to have a throwaway knife or something that's probably not going to let you down, that looks pretty well built from a really great company. I have no complaints with Kershaw. I know I've been a little hard on them on this review, but it's accessible. Anybody could scrounge up a few bucks and get one of these, and you'd have a good knife in your pocket. Well designed, and appears to be really well built. Pretty hard to believe that you can buy this with this fit and finish for the $20 mark. I mean, but that's China, and I know that a lot of us, our opinions are kind of evolving on China, and there's, buy American, I get all that, but it all comes at a cost, and not everyone's in a position to do that. I think if you have the ability to buy a good USA made knife, you can buy USA made knives for under $100 from Gerber. Kershaw have some options. You don't have to spend $200-300, but it's kind of interesting. So there it is. There's my initial impression of the camshaft. Bad name, good knife, good price point, and I guess that's about all I have to say on that. Thank you, Alex, for your request. For what it's worth, I am sorry for your loss. I do understand what that's like. It's actually much harder for you. I lost my dad when I was 53. I had so many years to be able to share my accomplishments and give him grandchildren, and one of the hardest things is to lose a father at the age you're at when you're at 15. That's the time that a boy needs his dad desperately. But all you've got to do, I guess the way I would look at it is, you're just going to have to grow up earlier than the rest of us did. It's going to be important for you to be there for your mother and to support her. Honor your father in what he taught you in the few years that you had, and honor him in being a good man and living a good life, and just be honest in everything that you do. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, and you'll honor your family, you'll honor your father, you'll honor yourself, and you'll honor your God. Thanks for watching, Alex. We'll be praying for you. May God bless you and your families. We're sorry for your loss. We'll see you all on the next video. It is well.